guys are this morning. I know the weather for me is amazing. We've got storm alerts and all kinds of stuff happening out here. But I tell you, the way that my mindset is wrapped these days, I'm actually I want to get out and run when it's like this, just because it's storming, right? I want to get out there and get on my 2.5 mile trail because it's raining, just so I can say I conquered the weather. You know what I'm saying? That's just me though. So I hope you guys are having a great Friday so far. Put a one in the chat. How you guys feeling this morning? Everybody doing good? Thumbs up. Everybody feeling okay? Yeah, good stuff. Miss Marlena logged in as Team Supreme Support. No, it's all
God, I was
good.
like,
I
how
know
am I
why.
on here like
I
this?
know
Yeah,
why. It's
I
because
know
you
why
because
too,
you
but I
you were
just forgot.
helping fix things in the background. So you might as well show up and
Mm,
support. It's all
I'm
good.
okay. Left
Right?
hand, left hand.
Yes, ma'am. Appreciate you. Yeah, appreciate you. But everybody else doing good. So listen, I wanted to start off this morning by one talking about some significant wins. Um, I know we've had some wins in the field. We had some people doing some amazing things. And if you guys don't see a few people, go ahead and shoot a text out, right? Let them know that the call has started. But I wanted to highlight somebody this morning for a win, and anybody else who may have had some wins. I know Kim, your team is crushing it right now on the win scale. You're probably like what, 3 recruits away from Infinite Circle, right? Let's go. Right. She's going to get this thing wrapped up before the end of the month. And that is a very significant milestone, you guys. And I'm going to tell you why Infinite Circle is such a significant milestone, because 10 recruits in the base shop becomes contagious. Okay. When you do it once, it's going to be hard not to do it again. Right. So when there's 10 recruits in the base shop, okay, and you put that stamp on your base shop, now, when your base shop is not doing 10 recruits, it's like, all right, what's up? What can I do? What do I need to do? Right. And so that begins to become culture and it starts to duplicate. And so that said, though, I want to bring up this young lady real quick before I go into something called pension maximization, right? And I want to share this concept with you guys because some of us are new to the call and some of us haven't been in the teacher market yet. Okay. And the teacher market intimidates people. It really does. I had a very long conversation with somebody who's got like 20 years in this industry. And I was blown away, and I'm always blown away at how, when people come to our infinite company, David, it's almost like when they get to the teacher market, they forget everything they know. It's almost like everything they learned prior to ERG becomes null and void. And so I want to help us, one, qualify what we already know. Okay. Number two, I don't want you guys to think that ERG has some sort of boogeyman that you need to be afraid of. Okay. ERG is actually a lot more simple than it appears sometimes. So, we're going to talk about a concept called pension maximization and how to write better business within the teacher space. But before we do, I want to bring up this young lady because she has just been a trooper. And one of the reasons that I want to highlight some of the wins is because she's been fighting through. And that's what this team is about, right? We fight through, and we triumph, right? And we get the victory, right, Kim? And so, Miss Betty Ann Kelly Hall, are you able to speak this morning? I kind of wanted you to share with the team. I mean, what you've been doing this month has been absolutely impressive. Betty is one recruit away from going 3-3-8 this month. She's gonna get it wrapped up, right? But like, oh my God. Like if y'all knew some of the stuff that's been happening with this young lady in the background and her just kind of still pushing through, I'm impressed. I am like, I don't even know this Betty. Like, Like this Betty is like on something else right now, right? And she is talking to me in a way that I've never heard her talk to me. She is speaking with a more matter of fact kind of a tone. And you can see the results, right? And so Betty, just kind of share the switch from the mindset, right? Because it started with you being a bit dormant. You was going through some stuff. You had that accident. You had all kind of stuff happen. You almost wrote yourself off, right? If I'm being honest. And then you kept coming back. You kept coming back to the meetings, and you saw Kim, and you saw Marlena, and you saw Princess, and you saw everybody, and they inspired you. She told me this is right. Okay. And she was like, Mr. Sunni, I'm about to do an event. Right. And she created an event, and it started with one event. That event led to some significant business, and then she did another event. Right. So just kind of give us the genesis of that. But I want you to take your time, Betty. Okay. And just kind of tell us, the business that you've been able to write and some of the recruits and new people that you brought on as well because of it. Okay.
Mhm. All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Sunni. I was not expecting this. I wasn't expecting this. But I do want to say, even with me and Mr. Sunni last night, because we finished the application, it was 12 p.m. my time, 11 p.m. his time. And so even in just everybody being on the team and listening to all of you, even because there was like months that I didn't write business, like I didn't write any business. So I was just kind of trying to like figure it out. But even in figuring it out, I never just unplugged from the team and from the meetings because honestly, I feel that there is life in the meetings and in the trainings. It gives you, the encouragement to keep going, even when life is lifing, because life it's really lifing for me right now. It really is. But you know what? Um, just just the culture of OIC and the Supreme team, honestly, I feel like that's what really just kept me motivated and going. And Mr. Sunni always speaking that, he always sees in you what you don't really see in yourself. He sees the strength in you. He sees, your agency. He sees it. So he continues to fertilize that soil. Sometimes he does it, with gentle hands. Sometimes it's like, okay, Betty, all right, we're gonna need you to go ahead, move. But I'm excited for because when you do go out, you will find that the people they're really they need you and they are attracted to you. They're drawn to you. And that's what I'm finding because I'm learning more about me and loving me and really tuning into the gifts that God placed inside of me. So with that, even the mental health awareness fair, the last fair that I did, I got like 13 potential client and they were all solid. I mean, really, really solid. We've been writing since then, so Mr. Sony, he continues to just it's all about the commitment and dedication. I feel like that's kind of like the switch that came on for me, and knowing, really seeing when you get into these appointments that people really need what we have. Like they really need the education. They're living from check to check, which we all have at some point. So it's about showing empathy as well, but also being truthful and giving, and they have no, other option than to respect the truth that you give them. But I'm grateful. I mean, the new agents like the Shikonis and the Kahar, you guys inspire me as well because you're coming in, you're getting it done. Listen, take it over, because, there's a big mission out here. I get it. I couldn't really see it in my mind, Mr. Sudi, when you used to talk about making like $1 million a month. I never had been exposed to that mentally. But now that I am, I see that it's really possible. So that's pretty much my share.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. And congratulations. Let's show Betty some love, you guys. Some heart emojis and
Thank
things of that
you.
nature. But Betty, what I wanted you to kind of talk about is, you've put, um, man, there's a $600,000 rollover on the table. You helped a young lady with the other day a $400 a month policy. You helped another couple and their kids put some policies in place, right? You know,
Right.
you're talking about bringing, people to this information and believing in it more. I kind of want you to talk about the idea of, you know, even the mental health fair. I remember you telling me or
Mm,
asking me, should I go to this? Because I know it's not financially something to approach. It has nothing to do with the world of finance. It's a mental health fair event. And I said, people are
mhm.
people, right? People are people, right? And you should go. And at a mental health fair, you guys, she was able to bring 13 people from that event who were interested in taking a look at their finances, right? And so just kind of talk about that whole piece, like how they took to you and they were drawn to you, like a Latrice Blanding, um, and a Charity Harvin, right?
Right. So for example, like Latrice, she was one of the clients who came to me at the mental health fair. And actually her father had just passed away maybe like a couple of weeks ago. And
Mm,
so that sparked that whole connection between me and her. And honestly, I ended up knowing who her father was. So on our appointment, me and Mr. Suni and her, she's crying, I'm crying, and Mr. Suni's like, this is God, and literally. And then I'm really excited because even for my mental shift, in my belief level, because even like the physical therapist, she joined my business. I mean, she's my business partner now. So I mean, I think that speaks volumes about what we do. It's real and how much we need it. And I asked Mr. Suni about the mental health awareness fair because I really didn't tie it all in together. But when I had a conversation with him, it's like, well, it's even your there's a financial health there, right? And it all ties in with your mental health, because if you're broke, then you cannot really be that mentally, set on what you need to do. You can't make great decisions when you're in need. Sometimes we move out of desperation, but just the education of and the people. Miss Charity, who is a client, she's actually a registered nurse. She's thinking of joining my business as a business partner. She's starting a holistic practice in medicine. To her and Mr. Suni, they were, great together, and because that's his passion, and the whole yoga and everything. And then just yesterday, when I went for lunch at a Mexican restaurant, I spoke to the waitress. I reached out to Miss Gabriella so she can, me and her can speak with her about joining the business. So I think it's all about it. Definitely, like Mr. Suni says it all the time, but it really is about your belief and your mindset.
absolutely.
Mhm.
Absolutely. And one of the things that I want you guys to make the connection and why I had to bring up the mental health concept is because when we talk about wealth and wealth creation, okay, and those of you who are new to this conversation, please write this down. Okay. Wealth is not an income, it's an outcome of value. Okay.
Mhm.
So when we talk about the 97% being poor or disenfranchised or broke, what we're saying is it is a matter of mental health.
Mhm.
It's truly a matter of mental health. When you are broke, when you see someone who is behind on their bills, behind on their promises, behind in their bank account, what you're seeing is the result of someone who's been disconnected from their ability to think for themselves.
Mhm.
They haven't intentionally thought about what they've been thinking about. I always tell a story. David, I had a bank account for years because my mother told me to get a bank account. That was it. That was the extent of my financial education, right? Nobody taught me to think about what I was thinking about so that I can think again. And in order to create wealth, we have to be intentional about our finances. We have to be intentional about the decisions that we're making. So, wealth or wealth creation is a matter of mental health. This is why we have a
Mhm.
mastermind call. This is why we're approaching this business so differently. I just got off of a prospecting call right before this call. Gentleman was blown away at our platform. He was like, this is too good to be true. I told him about the mastermind. I told him about the education retirement group. He was like, what's the catch? Because our approach is education and we're re educating people to think for themselves. And when people start thinking for themselves and get reconnected with their ability to dictate and determine their own value, their finances start to be a natural outcome or a natural byproduct. What we're teaching people in OIC is that this brand of success is true success, meaning that it's not about the external. Don't chase the bag, don't chase the external income, chase the internal income, and the external income will be a natural byproduct. That's why I love Betty's story and the transition that she's been making. So, Betty, thank you so much for sharing this morning. I really
Thank
appreciate it. And,
you.
listen, let's get 3, 3, and 8 wrapped up. You got one more recruit, and you will be an Infinite Club bonus winner, right?
Yeah,
At
I'm gonna be it.
$200.
I'm already there.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. And so I wanted to get talk to you guys real quick about a concept, but do we have any other wins that we want to share? Kim, Marlena, from y'all side of the street.
Good morning,
Good morning, good morning, good
everybody.
morning.
No, I just want to congratulate just the whole team. You know, we had a goal, right, of really hitting when Infinite Circle this month,
Yes.
and everyone is just putting in the work and trying, everyone's just helping out. And
Love it.
that's what I love about this team. It's just not about me. It's like,
Mhm.
how can I help? What can I do to get
Yes.
us to Infinite Circle? It's not get Kim to Infinite Circle, get us to Infinite Circle. So I had an amazing and then when you're building teams, you guys, relationships is so important. Yesterday, I took out the ladies to lunch with our new business partner, Miss Audra, who's been killing it, and just really like, just having that time. I mean, we were there for like 3 hours. They were like about to kick us out because the spot was about to close. But we were just having such a good time that you know, we know that uh, God is aligning the right people in this team. It's not by accident, right? It's really positioning us for greater things in this industry. So yeah, it was amazing time. Even like we did a three-way because Miss Audra had one of her best friends. She was on the call with her, and come to find out she lives in North Carolina. Elena came down from North Carolina. She's in California right now. And she was like, "Oh, yes, Elena's right here." So handed over the phone to Elena, what she's doing in North Carolina with the schools.
Let's
And I'm just
go.
like, wow, it's just, we're just following the system, really leveraging, each other, right?
Yes. Yes.
And this lady, connected with Elena, and she's like, "I'm ready. What do I need to do?" So
Wow.
things like that, you guys, like, you don't have to, we leverage each other. You don't have to be a business director. We're all leaders on this call.
Right.
So um, just keep, talking to people. If you're building a team and if they're nearby, make sure that you're connecting with them, right? You're taking them out to lunch, you're building that relationship. We're already
Yeah.
thinking events for like team building and stuff like that for the summer. Like, what can we do? Um, but yes, it's just amazing to see. I'm just grateful to be a part of this organization, and we're just gonna continue to rise.
Continue to win. It's okay. Say we gonna continue
Yes.
to dominate. I love it. I love it. I love it. And you know what I love about that story and that testimony is that I saw Audra on the call yesterday, the LinkedIn call, and she's such a quick learner. You know what I mean? So for her to already, I mean, those of you who have experienced Audra, she's got years in this industry. She could talk to her own people from a qualified standpoint, but she understood the philosophy of a third party, right? Very quickly. And then got an Elena on the phone. Why though? So for some of my new people, why do we leverage third party, right? Why do we do three-way calls? So, for example, a KJ knows a Nico. He's been knowing Nico forever. But why did he put Nico on a call with his Sunni Samad? Because they're too close, right? And sometimes when people are too close to us, they don't have the level of respect required for us to guide them into a business decision. Okay. And so we leverage a third party, and now that becomes culture, though. That begins to duplicate within your organization, right? So that young lady is now going to do three-way calls when she brings on new people. And that's the real beauty of it, right? Because the system you're birthed from is the system you duplicate. So, for example, most people who came by way of LinkedIn leverage LinkedIn, right? Most people who were a product of a third party system, they also leverage a third party system. And so, third party, you guys, is the best party. But the underlining principle or factor of what Kim is saying is this team has a system where you don't have to know everything to have success. That's the bottom line. You can come on here brand new, not know everything, and still start having some success. All you got to do is say, hey, here's Kim. Right? Hey, here's Marlena. Hey, here's Mrs. Samad. Here's one of the other business directors on the platform, and let them lead that call. Right? I did a three-way call yesterday with Hans Augustin for the prospecting call that I had this morning. Right? And this guy is going to join. Right? And so we constantly leverage a third party. Third party is the best party, right? So, with that said, I want to give you guys a quick concept called, I want you guys to get your pen and pad out, okay? How many of you guys still feel a little intimidated by teacher appointments? Show of hands, right? Some of you guys, none of you guys, a little bit, right? It's okay. It's okay to admit it, right? Some of you guys have been here a while, right? But here's one of the concepts, and I'll be honest with you. I actually had a conversation with somebody who's been doing this for a while. And the conversation was, I'm not getting a lot of life insurance business. out of my teacher business. I'm getting a lot of 403Bs, but I'm not closing a lot of IUL business. Okay. And so when we started the pension maximization conversation, the pension maximization conversation was, how do I get into a teacher appointment and get the teacher to see the benefits of putting both an IUL and a 403B in place? And it's a very simple concept, right? So let me pull up my whiteboard real quick. And I want to share with you guys a quick visual, okay, of how to get the most out of your teacher appointments. Okay. If y'all with me so far, put a one in the chat. Y'all been a quiet group so far this morning outside of our testimonies.
Here, we're here.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Okay. So pension maximization. Okay. Pension maximization. All right. And y'all got to forgive my handwriting. I am writing on my screen, but you should be able to follow. All right. So on this side, we've got a 403B. And on this side, we have an IUL. Now, in most teacher appointments, the door that we're taking is the 403B door. Why is that? When we talk to teachers and educators, automatically, this is a familiar product. This is a familiar vehicle, and this is employer sponsored. Okay. Those of you who've been doing this a while, just bear with me. I'm talking to like the new people. Okay. The 403B is the door that we take in a teacher space because it's an employer sponsored product that is easy to talk about for a brand new person to walk through the door when we introduce ourselves to the school, so on and so forth, right? National Life Group allows us to write 403Bs, Roth 403Bs in certain states, so on and so forth, okay? So the 403B is what we call the door. But once we get through the door, right, obviously we want to be able to open up to other products, yes? Put a one in the chat if you agree with that. I need y'all to be with me on this one, okay? Right? We want to open up to more products. Good stuff, right? So, how do we do that? So, hypothetically, I'm in an appointment with Mr. Johnson. He's a third grade English teacher. Mr. Johnson's 40. Let's say Mr. Johnson has been a teacher now for about 5 years. So he started when he was 35, and let's give him a good 65-year-old retirement, okay? Based on his tier system, based on, just kind of where he qualifies to retire, okay? So he's got until 65, age 65 to retire. Right now he is 40, okay? He's been teaching since he's 35, so that's 25 years. The mental framing that I want you guys to always have when you're approaching clients is the life between now and retirement. That is 25 years. Okay. So now when I look at a product called a 403B, okay, and we discovered the gap, we said, Mr. Johnson, when you retire, okay, there's going to be about a $20,000 to $25,000 a year shortfall. Important question to ask, okay? Mr. Johnson, if I were to remove $25,000 a year today from your salary, would that have a negative impact on your life and your quality of life? What do you think Mr. Johnson's going to say? Is going to say yes, emphatically, absolutely. If you remove $25,000 a year from my salary, that is going to have a huge impact on my life today. So, Mr. Johnson, is it safe to say 25 years from now, when inflation is higher and taxes are higher, that $25,000 shortfall may even have more of an impact on your life? Yes or yes? Yes, absolutely. What am I doing right now when I'm talking to Mr. Johnson? I'm discovering the pain point. Okay. I'm discovering the pain point. I have to paint a picture for Mr. Johnson that says, hey, what is the 40-year-old version of Mr. Johnson going to do so that the 65-year-old version of Mr. Johnson is going to be okay? I want you guys, if you're taking notes, to write down, be okay. See, sometimes we approach these client appointments thinking about making clients rich. Are we going to be able to make every client rich? No. I want you guys to remember this word, whole. That's our main objective. Whole. We want to make our client whole, not rich. And I've seen some people go into appointments, and if they can't, it's like they want everybody to get rich in the market. That's not what we do. Our job is to make Mr. Johnson whole. So we've discovered that Mr. Johnson at 40 is going to take with some fact finding. How did I discover that? Fact finding, F&A. Okay. He's going to have about a $25,000 to $30,000 shortfall between, now in his retirement, okay, and what he makes now. Okay. So now that we've discovered that pain point, Mr. Johnson knows that we need to put something supplemental in place. Right? What is that supplemental vehicle? Typically, that's going to be a 403B. Is this making sense so far? Put a 1 in the chat. Okay. This is structural. I'm giving you the ABCs 1, 2, 3. Somebody said, I heard somewhere. I don't know who said this, that Mrs. Samad can't sell. I was like, what? What? I've been selling since I was 2. What you talking about? Right? So here's the thing. But my objective, I want everybody to just know, disclaimer, okay? My job is to make everybody else successful here, right? So I don't always promote my wins. I'm not always teaching in the appointment space, right? We're developing leaders that push more people towards success here. But if you ever run an appointment with me, I'm going to get it done. Okay. So here's the thing. 403B is what we're typically going to supplement here. All right. Now, here's the cool thing. Mr. Johnson, a 403B seems like the viable vehicle. Do you currently have anything like that in place? We can't assume that he does. All right. If Mr. Johnson says that he doesn't, if he says yes, we say, great. What are you contributing? All right. Mr. Johnson says, oh, well, right now I'm contributing about $200 a month. Perfect. There's a scenario for that. Okay. If Mr. Johnson says nothing, there's a scenario for that. Let's talk about the I am contributing scenario. There's some important questions we need to ask Mr. Johnson. Mr. Johnson says, I am, committed to about $200 a month in my 403B. Well, first of all, Mr. and Mrs. Johnson, okay, when was the last time you spoke with the person who put this in place for you? Very important question to ask. Why is that so important to ask? Because some people, I've seen this before, says, well, I say, well, what happened on your teacher appointment? Oh, he already had something. Well, what did he have? A 403B. And I just let it be. No. Mr. and Mrs. Johnson, that's great you have a 403B in place already. What are you contributing right now? And when was the last time you spoke with the person who put this in place for you? Why am I asking him these questions? I'm asking him these questions because, number one, if he has not talked to, let's say, Hans Augustine, who put him into this 403B, 2 years ago, I'm like, yay, maybe you should make me your servicing agent on that 403B. because I'm going to speak to you every 6 months, Mr. Johnson. Okay. And I'm going to make sure that what you have in place is checking all the boxes, dotting all the I's, and crossing all the T's. Does this make sense to you guys? Right? Number one. Number two, if he says yes, he's contributing, and I say $200 a month, now I get to say, well, let's see if $200 a month actually checks the box of the gap that we need to fill, because you could be under supplemented, not underinsured, but under supplemented. Okay. So it's important for us to ask these questions, right? Don't throw in the towel because somebody says they have a 403B. Now, watch this. Chances are he's going to be under supplemented, but if he's not under supplemented, now I get to talk to him about tax advantaging his money. All right. So hypothetically, let's say he's saving $500 a month, or let's say he doesn't have anything in place. Let's go with that scenario. He has nothing in place. And based on our fact finding, our F&A, we realize that he has, David, a discretionary income of about $1,000 a month. Okay. And he's willing to save. I'm going to say, how much are you willing to save toward this solution? And he says, well, I'm willing to save about $500 a month. Great. He's committed to $500 a month now toward a solution. Am I going to put it all in the 403B? No. This is where we become the expert. This is where you say, all right, Mr. Johnson, that's awesome. Okay. But instead of committing the full $500 a month towards your 403B, okay, I want you to take about $250 a month per se toward that 403B option, and the other $250 a month toward an indexed strategy. Okay. Why? Let's start with taxes. Okay. Mr. Johnson, okay, your 403B is a tax deferred supplemental option, meaning that you're going to pay a higher tax bracket with this 403B, which is great. Get the employer match, but we can supplement the taxes that you're going to pay by putting it into this vehicle, which is tax advantaged. So now we're going to offset the taxes you're paying here with this solution over here. Mr. Johnson, does that make sense? Yes, that makes sense. Awesome. Let's talk about the market. Mr. Johnson, this is a variable strategy. Okay. This is an index strategy. Okay. So this money over here, okay, is in what we call the risk market. I love how John Robinson put it yesterday. If you guys were on that call, John Robinson said, how do you spell market? R-I-S-K. Okay. I love that. Okay. If you ever see, by the way, John Robinson on a call, jump on that call. John Robinson is a master at life insurance, the language of life insurance, and closing quality IUL business. Okay. He's also one of the six-figure ring earners in Houston, and he's amazing. I've learned so much from him. Okay. But Mr. Johnson, okay, the 403B is a variable product, which is okay. Okay. But I want to guarantee some of your retirement by putting it into an index strategy. So in the event there's a COVID-19, in the event there's a housing market crash, in the event that there's an untimely event in the market, when you're nearing retirement, we've got some money over here that's guaranteeing the success of your retirement. Does that make sense? Yes, that makes sense. Awesome. Okay. Then, Mr. Johnson, you're 40 years old. 25 years until you retire. A lot of life's going to be life in between now and 65. Yes, if you run into a financial or medical emergency, I don't want you to have to borrow from your 403B because you're going to incur taxes and penalties. But if you have this index strategy in place, you can borrow from this and get access to liquidity, tax, and fee free, if that's a thing. All right. Forgive me for writing like your math teacher. All right. But does that make sense, Mr. Johnson? Absolutely. And then lastly, to top it off, cherry on the top, Mr. Johnson. Okay. This is going to get you long-term care in the event that you become sick. Your 403B doesn't offer that. And this is going to provide an inheritance for your children, which typically the 403B doesn't offer that either. Okay. And this is how we maximize a pension plan for a teacher or an educator. Okay. That makes sense to you guys? Simple enough? Was that valuable? Did I help anybody? Anybody?
Yes, sir.
Well,
You know, me in the last 15 minutes that I just dropped on this call, so thank you.
Okay.
Yes,
Simple enough?
I need
Feedback,
those
questions?
slides.
Say that again, Princess.
Need those slides, sir. I need
You
that.
need them slides.
We're not recording it. What's up with that? Wait a minute.
Well, you got me. And so I am a constant recorder. So you need me to run it back, I got you. Okay. But was this helpful? Open up the call. The call's open, you guys. I'm done talking.
It was helpful. Don't let the haters get to you, Mr. Samad. We know you could close.
Thank you, Marlena. She always know what to say. She always know what to say. She be picking up what I'm putting down. Yes. The call's open. This is y'all's call.
I'm never afraid to add value. I mean, listen, guys, I just had a powerful conversation on something else that I was working on. And if you guys get the story that he just shared with you and you understand how to manage this information correctly, you'll be superstars in your own liking. What that means is that we were talking about this last night, Mr. Simon. One of the things that I shared with him is I said, hey, I know how to move money very, very, very well, or I'm learning to move money very much better. But I'm also very transparent about the idea that I haven't leveraged the Index Universal Life opportunity at its highest level. I've closed pretty good policies, but it's all about the leveling up the consistency. And so even though for me, I wasn't at the very beginning of the call, in the pieces that I just got caught, it reminds us that you're telling a story. And when you're telling the story is that you're trying to identify the client. One of the conversations that I just had was, I can't always disclose what I'm working on, but long story short, I said to the person that, hey, I'm in the position of my life where it's only value that I'm interested in creating. And so what he just did was, hey, let me show you how to create more value for the client and say, hey, this is great, but we can improve that. And if you can become a good improver, even for yourself, it just makes you a better closer. I shared with the prayer team this morning, I said, one of the things that I realized so far for the month of June for myself was there was a lot of little thresholds that Mr. Samadi likes to use that word, that were just like things happening. But what I realized was like, no, this is just your room for improvement. I mean, like, hey, get on the phone a little bit more, go make a couple of better appointments, maybe learn how to have these conversations better so that you can improve what you are looking for as a result. So that's the value that I'll add today. And just telling people, I said, if you can stay in that standard of value, you can't never not be successful. It may not look exactly, because one of the things that I was sharing with the person, I said, hey, when I understood some of the experiences I was having over the 3 years of my health, I realized that what was being positioned was like, hey, I'm showing you how to increase your value. And when I understood that lesson, it was like, hey, if I'm here in this space and you understand your identity, all you're going to do is now increase your value. So that means if you have a school community, that you're serving versus trying to take something from, then you're going to show up with value. So that what he just said to you guys is, hey, I get on the call, and the pieces that I caught, because I didn't get all of it, but I caught enough to understand what he was putting down, is that I show up on the call. Yeah, it's great that you have a 403B, perfect. But has anybody ever shown you this? Or, hey, let's take the picture anyway. And if you do have $500 available to me, yes, we could do this. But even that last piece that you just put down, even the language of what I picked up was, hey, I don't need to say certain things about an IUL. I just need to conceptually, hey, by the way, this actually has a long-term care program to it. By the way, there's an inheritance that I could show you how to put to what person doesn't want to give their family an inheritance? So I don't need to particularly say, hey, well, the death benefit, I'm just telling you about me. I'm not talking about you. Hey, the death benefit is going to pay this out. But the language of, hey, by the way, based on how we set up these pension maximization solutions, not only are we going to grow your money, but we can show you how to take care of the long-term care problem plus leave an inheritance. That language, instead of the body of how that product works, is better value to the person's ear. Because one of the things that I heard today too was like, hey, maybe you're not learning, maybe you haven't learned how to express it properly yet. So one of the reasons why I shared it with him, and he said, hey, I'm going to put you in a car with something. And I said, that's great because I need to understand how to create the value language that the customer is going to appreciate. Because I found out that the customer is not here for me. They're here for themselves on how they improve themselves. So Hans can't put what he wants. He has to put what he might need to happen in a language where it makes sense to them. And so in that piece, as I go and review my note takers, I'm going to make sure that I study that tonight so that I can add more language. You see, you got to automate things. AI is coming, guys, but you can improve your value. But I'll pass the call back to the other members of the team. I just wanted to add that piece.
No, thank you. And one of the key things that Hans said was keeping things conceptual, right? If I hadn't learned anything in our Infinite Company, and I'm telling you guys, I came from final expense mortgage protection. The idea of a conceptual uh, uh, um, form of financial literacy, whether I'm doing wealth formula, whether I'm doing million dollar baby, whether I'm doing, right, these are all conceptual ideas that keep us out of the lane of selling. The broader stroke, right, keeps us in the lane of educating. The smaller stroke puts us in the lane of selling. Right? If I'm trying to tell you every nook and cranny about this product and what it's going to do and things of that nature, right? Now I'm kind of along, I'm bordering that selling. I'm under the hood. You know, I'm telling you about the transmission and I'm using your concept, David, right? That was amazing. You said, man, most people don't care about what's under the hood when they buy a car, right? Conceptually, I need this car right, on this 5-year loan to run the next 5 years. And I need it to be blue or black, right? Or whatever that may look like, right? So, conceptual, broader strokes. Miss Marlena.
Yes, good morning. Um,
Good
so
morning.
thank you again for today because you really did simplify it. We know we're supposed to do it be conceptual, talk about that. But I wanted to ask you, because there's still a lot of years of unlearning that I'm doing. Um, how often do you actually show illustrations?
How often do I show illustrations?
Yeah. Do you always show illustrations before you close? Or well, not always.
I typically always do. I
Yeah,
think
okay.
it's a more matter of when, though,
Right.
right? If I'm talking to natural market, sometimes before I do an F&A, right? So if you introduce me to somebody and hey, what is it that you're looking to get from, our appointment today? If I get an idea that there's, the type of client that's looking for more than just basic protection, I'll say something like this, right? And then I'll go into a previous illustration and I'll kind of break down like, this is what we were able to do for a client that was kind of looking for something that you may have in mind. Is this similar to what you had in mind? And obviously, yes, I'm trying to kind of blow their mind with what I'm able to do for them at the same time. But I'll typically show an illustration like that. And then once they see it, they're like, yeah, something like that. We go into F&A mode. After F&A mode, then I'll go into their personal illustrations and then transition into an application. But for teachers, it is a little different. I don't start off with anything like a illustration. I'll go straight into, hey, the nature of your appointment today, introducing yourself. In the teacher space, we do have to posture a little more, right? Hey, my name is Suni Saman. I'm with the Education Retirement Group, this, that, and the other. And then I move forward into the conversation of your pension. What's the nature of your appointment today? How many years have you been in the education space, right? Do you understand your tier systems? Okay, according to your tier system, right? So on and so forth. You know how the conversation goes, right? But,
Mm-hmm.
and then after that, between them making a decision to put a solution in place or being agreeable that this makes sense, I say on our next appointment, we'll look at a few illustrations together, though. And I think for
Can
me,
you, I guess this is more my question because Kimberly
uh-huh,
is very different than how we were trained before. If my previous training, I've gotten better since then, right? But we used to be taught to do one, two, three different illustrations, print them out, highlight this, do that before the next
mhm.
appointment. And I remember when I started here, I asked Kim, when do you have time for this? She was like, oh, I just do it during the appointment. I was like, what? You don't even do it before. So I think more that was more of my question, like when do you prepare them or you just do it with them also?
I do. Hibachi style. We call it hibachi
Yeah,
style illustration. Yeah, we cook it right in front of you. You know what I'm
right in
saying?
front of them. Okay.
Yeah, you
All
want
right.
you want extra butter? You know what I'm saying? I like the butter. You know what I'm saying in my rice, okay? Which is right, but no, and it's for me, Marlena. That came from a place of empathy, though. I put myself in my client's shoes and I said, what would I want an agent to do for me? Would I want you to go cook something up in the background and then present it to me already put together? Or would I want to be included on the decision-making factor of how this is put together for me? Right? And that's where I started to say, I like this version of doing illustrations better, and it works. It really works. When clients feel like they have say, for example, when Betty and I just closed a premium of $400 a month for this young lady. Well, I say all the time, if you run an appointment with me, I say, I'm going to take your entire disposable income from the F&A and show you what's possible. Even if it's $2,000, okay? I'm going to say, hey, this is what's possible based on this disposable income. And I cook it up right in front of them. But then I remove it and I say, you tell me what you want to do because what's important is what you want to do. And when that client feels like you're taking their, opinion into consideration, right? And they feel like you're valuing them in that space where they're like, oh, he's not trying to just make money. He really wants to do what's in my best interest. They really value that. I literally told Charity, right? I said, Charity, I said, listen, what do you want to do? I said it could be lower, it could be less, it could be more. I said, but what's most important is you have to be agreeable with how we move forward because this is a long-term plan. And if there's any aversion, okay, to this plan, you're not going to keep it. I told her that straight up. And she was like, okay. She was like, I was thinking like 400 because we illustrated 5. And I said, okay, great. And I said, now let's re-illustrate 400. This is what 400 looks like. Okay. Starting off, first 5 years, we can increase whenever you like. Showed her the lifetime income version, showed her without the lifetime income, and then we moved forward with the application. So I think I get more value by doing it in front of the client, number one. But number two, I think the client feels more served than sold when we do it in front of them too. But make no mistake, according to National Life Group, we're not supposed to do that. We're not supposed to, we are not supposed to bring them into the back office of our stuff. So who follows rules? Okay.
That's good. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. You are so funny. She was like, you don't you don't do it that way. I love it. Any other questions?
You know what? I just wanted to add something to what you just said, the psychology of that everyone can relate to. And you just said, you show them the max of what their discretionary income is. When you go, everyone can relate to buying a car, and because I sold cars. So when you go and buy a car, they do a Foursquare, and there's a science behind that. They hit you high on the amount, they hit you high on the monthly, because you came in thinking I'm paying $100 a month, $200 a month. But when they just said, well, you're going to pay $800 a month? Immediately you're like, oh, that's not enough. You're kind of talking to yourself, going through the motions. So I like what you just said, to show them what's possible. I think I've been thinking opposite, like, ooh, I don't want to offend them, and say, hey, yeah, you could do all this. And I say, oh no, we're not going to use all your money, but thank you for that analogy. That's yeah.
Yes, it's the psychology of the sale, right? It's a tactic, right? I don't language it that way a lot of times because most people have an aversion to sales. I love sales because I don't look at sales as something bad. Anybody love kids? Absolutely adore kids. You know why you absolutely adore children? Marlena said no. You know why you absolutely adore children? Because they sell relentlessly, unapologetically. I'm on the line with Tammy all the time. Zatar is selling in the background. He like, I want to say hi to Suni. Like the constantly selling, and that's what makes them adorable. Some of the most successful sellers on the planet are Girl Scouts. Them Girl Scout cook, listen, they are vicious. They are mean. Trust and believe that is a whole psychology happening. They knock on your door and they got their little hand on their hip and they got missing teeth and they all cute and smiling and they got peanut butter, mint, all that stuff. And you like, oh my God, I need 5. There's nothing wrong with selling. I love selling because when you understand selling, selling is actually not a bad thing unless you're selling a bad thing. But when you're selling something good, it's actually a good thing because nothing moves without a sale. There's nothing this cup was sold to me. This computer was sold to me. Like sales moves the world, right? And so start them off high, princess. You can always bring them down low. You start them off low, you can never get them back high. That's the psychology, right? So
yeah,
I
the
say
reality
this
is they're telling you.
yes.
That's, at the
And
end of
then
the
you
day,
give them,
you're not telling
right?
them.
Exactly. They're saying, hey, could you give them the opportunity to sell themselves now? When it comes out of my client's mouth, I'll do 400. Now I just agree. Great. Awesome. Perfect. whatever words you want to use, right?
And it shows why it's so important to do the F&A, why you can't skip the
Yes.
F&A.
Come on, princess.
People always want to quote, but that's not how we do it over
That's
here.
not how we do it. We don't do quotes. Don't do quotes, right? We take the people approach, not the product approach. Okay. So I appreciate you guys. I hope this was valuable. You guys had great questions. If y'all want to continue this on next week, we can. I think it's a great topic, but just understand too, let me give this disclaimer, new people. We're not going to probably put a illustration training on our calendar. I'm going to tell you why. Because training becomes culture. You have to get in the field with your business director if you want to learn illustrations. Okay? Get your people in front of clients. Come on, Kim.
They do have a illustration training on NLG.
NLG's back office stuff.
Yes. So
Absolutely.
you have to, yes, if you want to learn more about illustrations, definitely go there.
Yes.
Because it's so important to write these correctly too. Because we come from a world where a lot of agents don't know how to structure an IUL. And that's why
True.
the IUL sometimes get a bad rep, right? So it's
Absolutely.
definitely important you work with a leader that knows how to do these, because you also have to understand like how, or if they say put 400, are you putting it more on insurance, or are you putting more in the cash value, right? So if their goal is for growth, you definitely want to make sure the insurance lower, put them in a term, because remember, I like to do like a blend when I get them a term, but also an IUL for growth. So definitely, it's so important, because in this industry, I was taught incorrectly, and I did a lot of bad policies when I first started.
No.
And I'm going back and trying to fix these policies. So it's it's
Okay.
because you're dealing with people's money, and
Mhm.
if you don't know how to structure it correctly, you don't want that client to come back to you and say, hey, I thought I had all this money in my account, and come to find out they don't have much. So definitely work with someone, a leader that knows how to do these.
All the more reason. And thank you so much, Kim, for clarifying that too. Study your craft. My mentor early on, he says you got to learn how to grow in the dark, meaning that make a study out of this on your own time, number one. But number two, that's one of the reasons that we don't train it just outright. Because then I got training associates saying, I'm going to go run my own appointment. Right? And it's like, no, don't do that. Okay. So appreciate that, Kim. Appreciate you, Marlena, as well. Princess, your feedback was on point per usual. I think this is a great call. You guys have a great rest of your day. And I'll see you guys later. Have a blessed one. Peace.
Thank you.